Let's turn now to the one big beautiful bill. That's the major tax legislation being pushed by Republicans through the House and the Senate. There's been some pretty big developments there, but really it's the political development of the future of Medicaid, which is the one that is just hanging like a noose around the Republicans' neck. You've got two sides, really. You've got President Trump and you've got Josh Hawley and a few other Republicans who are saying, we're not going to cut Medicaid, we're not going to touch it. And then you've got others like Senator Mitch McConnell who are like, yeah, people will get over it. And if you think I'm making it up, let's put this up there on the screen. This is leaked from a direct meeting of the Senate Republicans. Senator Tom Tillis warned GOP senators during a closed-door meeting that Senate reconciliation bill would prompt major electoral losses because, similar to Obamacare. Tillis aired concerns with Senate's Medicaid provider tax framework. The majority leader, John Thune, defended it, saying it's key component for their spending cuts. Separately, Mitch McConnell said, quote, failure isn't an option. I know a lot of us are hearing from people back home about Medicaid, but they'll get over it. They'll get over it. Okay.
Good luck. With that.
Yeah, I don't think so, actually. And, you know, just to show that it's not just crazy people like Josh Hawley or whatever that are worried about this, let's put this up there on the screen from Politico. Even the speaker, Mike Johnson, who is not some, liberal, like, you know, is saying that Medicaid backlash could be a serious problem for a lot of the House Republicans and their majority next year. A lot of this just comes down to the fact that because they're not willing to cut the Pentagon and because discretionary spending is just not that big, like in terms of DOGE or wherever, I think it's probably less than 7% of the federal budget. You've got to hit an entitlement program somewhere. You can't touch Medicare, can't touch Social Security, so they're going after at quote-unquote reforms within Medicaid. But no matter which way you slice it, it would lead to less services, and that's, of course, where the spending cuts are coming from. And that is one of the most tangible ways, which particularly lower middle class Americans and more interact with the federal government for spending. It would just be such a massive own goal, especially in the realm of war with Iran and $1 trillion Pentagon budget, to show what the priorities are, not to mention the fact that it extends many of those tax cuts from the TCJA, which had lowered the taxes for the wealthiest income brackets. There's also the SALT provision, which continues to be battled out within there, but Medicaid is like the #1 thing. And actually, outside of Iran, I think this one is breaking through. This is one of those where it's like the Social Security thing. It's a service that people use. By the way, my Social Security card for my daughter took forever to come. Thank you, Elon. Yeah, it's like a tangible thing. I was like, where is the damn card? I needed to sign up for health insurance. But just goes to show you, these are things people actually need to use, all segments of society. And so that really, especially combined with the tax cut, it's just a brutal headline for the Republicans. Brutal.
Even Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer can figure out how to message this one.
Yeah, that's right.
A giant tax cut. You are losing your health care so that rich people can get a tax cut. That's the promise of this bill, and that's why some Republicans are wise enough to realize this could be a political problem. I mean, I think a lot of them realize that. But remember, the vast majority of the Republican caucus are incredibly safe seats. So they're not worried about it.
Right.
You have, the number of swing states has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. So you have a comparatively small number. And then they're terrified of just getting crosswise from Trump because, they see what he's doing to Thomas Massie right now and the way he's aggressively going after. We didn't even get a chance to cover this. He set up an entire PAC to spend money against Thomas Massie to try to defeat him because of his, defiance over a number of issues, but including the, illegal strikes on Iran, illegal war waged against Iran. So, they know what happens when you get crosswise with Trump. And so they're fearful, even the ones who are in districts that are potentially winnable by a Democrat.
Yeah, that's right. And so let's go to the next one, please. And just on the screen, just to underscore a lot of this, this is D3, and it shows all of the polling. So this is from Fox News, by the way, and that's why we picked it. So can you understand what's in the bill? 60% say yeah. That's actually a lot. I'm pretty shocked that people are paying attention that much. But here's the most devastating one. Your opinion, 60% say they oppose, 38% say that they favor. For your family, the big, beautiful bill will, quote, make no difference, 26%, 23% help, 49% Sense say it will hurt. It's not exactly true, just because outside of Medicaid, it's mostly extending tax cuts that were already passed. That's why it's kind of funny seeing the Republican messaging. They're like, if we don't do this, it will be a massive tax hike. I'm like, well, no, it'll revert back to the original tax code of 2016. But what? Most people don't actually pay that much attention to taxes. It's really about services that broadly is one of the ones that we're watching. So, for example, let's put, guys, D4 up on the screen. This is about the process that has happened inside of the Senate, and that's broadly where these Medicaid stuff has come into play because a lot of the spending cuts are coming from the program. President Trump actually spoke with a reporter today saying he was against that, but then on top of that, and I know this sounds like very in the weeds, but it really matters, is that just this morning, the Senate parliamentarian has, quote, struck a whole bunch of critical health provisions from the bill, including the provider tax framework. Effectively, what that means is it screws with many of the ways they were going to pay and fund their tax extension and their spending cuts. And so what that would mean is it would increase the deficit score. Now, if it increases the deficit score outside of the Senate bill, that will then move to the House, where already you had a lot of Freedom Caucus Republicans bucking at the fact that the deficit was going to increase as a result of this. So you got two kind of opposing forces at work. And most importantly is that President Trump has said he does not want Congress, we can put that D5, please, on the screen. President Trump has said nobody's leaving Washington until the mega tax bill is done. He wants it passed by July 4th. This makes that a hell of a lot more difficult because they just lost a lot of their pay-fors. They're going to be in parliamentary hell for the next week now, basically. And what that means is that they're going to have to scramble and find some other stuff to do that's going to run up against the House Republicans and the Freedom Caucus. And of course, it just makes, it's not only is it more chaotic, but it's more likely they're going to have to cut even deeper from some other type of social program and find some other way just to pay for a tax cut, which people at home are all paying attention to.
A couple other provisions that the parliamentarian has said cannot be included in this reconciliation bill that are noteworthy. Number one, we had mentioned before and covered before the fact that in the House version, there was effectively a provision that is meant to make it difficult or impossible for federal courts to enforce contempt charges against the federal government. The parliamentarian has said, you can't do that. The Senate had a slightly modified version. It would have required plaintiffs to post potentially enormous bonds when asking courts to issue preliminary injunctions or impose temporary restraining orders against the federal government. The House version had to do with contempt orders. In any case, she said, none of this can go in this bill. So that is probably being stripped down. Another couple that are really noteworthy, there was a provision that would reduce the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, that's basically the anti-scam bureau, funding to zero. That also was deemed to not qualify for reconciliation. And there was another proposal that would put the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, which is the U.S. audit watchdog, into the SEC. That, again, was deemed not eligible for the reconciliation process. So these are some of these provisions. The court one is actually quite significant, and the CFPB one also very significant. So the fact they won't make it into reconciliation matters a lot. But also, to Saagar's point, you know, as they go through all these things, there was also a piece they were trying to sell off all the U.S. Postal Service's new electric vehicle fleet and charging infrastructure, which I can't imagine they were going to make like that much money on it. But that was another one of their pay-fors.
I'll buy it.
That also got taken out of the bill. So I'm sorry, you won't be able to purchase one of the USPS electric
I'll take
trucks.
it for pennies on the dollar. That sounds pretty fun, actually, to roll around in an electric
cool.
post office. I mean, one of the weirdest things is I actually love not even just electric vehicles, but resto mod stuff, like stuff that's electric, like a golf cart, you know, and things like that. They're just fun to drive. Like, let's be honest.
At this point, a checkered relationship with golf carts.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But I enjoy them. I enjoy seeing them around. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.